good evening, and welcome to Being Black in Craft, where we don't apologize for recognizing our influence on craft beer. This is Angie, the Undeniable Vixen, your host, and we have an amazing guest tonight, as always, but have a couple of church announcements. So let's get right into that. Of course, you know that I'm going to be speaking. It's almost time for CBC, almost time. And I will be speaking during Thrive. It is the pre conference before the conference. And if you don't know, also, right after CBC is going to be the first conference for NB2A, the National Black Brewers Association. And I would most definitely follow their page and make sure that you check out and make sure that you find any updates, because they're going to be doing that as well as the tap takeover. So at Beer Zombie. So it's a lot of cool things that are going to be going on with them. Don't forget, Crafted for Action. The early bird tickets are on sale right now up until the 31st. And hopefully you put in your proposal. It ended as far as like last Friday. And Jen is looking to see you there either in person or virtually. And one thing that I'm going to be doing tomorrow, I'm taking the day off, and I'm going to Denton, right up the street, about 30 minutes away from me. And I am going to Denton County Brewing Company, and we're going to be doing Black's Beautiful Volume 2. Nice hazy. So we're going to do a little Texas spin on it. That's a teaser I'm going to give to y'all as until we get into it, and I'll let you know. But we are Texas proud, and we got a little something different for that. And I think those are all my church announcements. So let's invite our wonderful guests on stage. Good evening. Good evening.
Hi.
It's great to see you, Danica.
Great to see you too.
So, I'm trying to think. I think I was scrolling through IG, minding my business, loving Jesus like I do, and I happened to see this seltzer, and then I was like, wait a minute. I see people of color and they're drinking seltzer, and I was like, I need to find out more about this. So, the name of your product is Grown Folks.
Yes.
Is Grown Folks. Tell us a little bit about the you have 3 right now.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about the 3 different flavors that you have out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's really cool is, we have flavors that are very unique and new to market, and they are nostalgic and reminiscent of foods that me, my sisters, and my cousins would fight over at our family gatherings. Our flavors are peach cobbler, ambrosia, and key lime, all reflective of dishes that my granny, my great granny, my aunties, my cousins, we all grew up loving these foods, these dishes, sharing this in our families. And I really just saw an opportunity to craft something that was reflective of my culture that didn't already exist, particularly in hard seltzer.
Yeah, I'm thinking that my eyes are going nuts. I'm thinking that usually it's, lemon, lime, strawberry, something, mediocre or what have you. But key lime pie, which is one of my favorites, and then ambrosia. I can just imagine the nice coconut and pineapple citrus, very, very fruit forward.
Exactly.
So are you able to drink, like with most seltzers, they're like, okay, I want my vodka soda. And so they're using that to put it in there to kind of jazz up their drink. But it's looking to me that Grown Folks is something you're going to sip on that by itself. It's a nice standalone.
It is 100% a standalone drink / cocktail.
Okay.
So that's kind of the beauty of these flavors, is that they're very complex. And we spent a lot of time really developing the recipes to pump out the best tasting seltzer in all of those flavors that you just named, the
Mhm.
strawberry and the lemon lime. A lot of those are not using, whole real ingredients and fruits, and you've got that nasty sort of seltzer aftertaste.
Mhm.
So
Artificial.
exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
So what was really important to us was to make sure we had the cleanest sugar brew base possible, and we utilize real fruit juice, right? That
Mhm.
impacts the taste, and that gives the drink the ability to to really be bright, and have the characteristics of the actual dishes that, right, they're bringing us back to. So you can drink this alone, and you can also drink multiple, without having that nasty, again, sort of coating in that in palate that a lot of the
Mhm.
seltzers on the market have right now.
What's the ABV on it?
So there's 6% ABV. And
Mm.
that was something special to us as well, because a lot of the seltzers kind of play in that 4 to 5%. But
Yeah.
our consumer really wants more bang for their buck. They want value, and we wanted to deliver that, but still maintain the integrity, the taste integrity. Sorry, I've got a crazy household.
It's okay. I have two fur babies as well.
Okay.
I have to take her collar out because she likes to walk around like she's trying to take down the walls of Jericho, and I can just hear her. I can hear her just jingling all over the place. So you are fine.
All right. So yeah, my dog's going crazy in the background, but yeah, the having a higher ABV is definitely a key differentiator, and just the flavor profile is so lovely and different. He wants to get in on
So,
the podcast now.
so tell me what you're drinking right now.
So I'm drinking our ambrosia, which is
Okay.
my personal favorite. The fun thing about ambrosia is, for people who are familiar with ambrosia salad, they have sort of an idea of what it might taste like. But what's really
Mhm.
cool is for people who have no idea what ambrosia is, this is a very exciting, and they just don't even know what to do with it. They're not really even sure what they're tasting. And it's just my personal favorite.
Well, I am drinking I'm having FOMO because I can't drink. I don't have any grown folks, but I am drinking some more of our smoked beers from Live Oak. This is a Schwartz smoked lager.
Yummy.
So, but ambrosia sounds heavenly, and 6% is that's perfect.
It is.
Um, Something that I one of my hats that I wear, I'm a brand ambassador. And so when the seltzer craze hit, that's all I was selling was if they came out with a half of a new flavor, they had us out there marketing it. So with that said, was how did you feel about going into the market and then when people come up saying, "Oh, well, I have XYZ," and you know what XYZ seltzer is, the high ranked ones. What's going to be different compared to yours? What what do you normally would say to that? Because sometimes people in stores get kind of snooty.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're doing demos in store, right?
Yes.
Been there, done that, and I'll be doing a lot of that in the near future
I
with
was like,
our retail partners. So I will call on you. Um, yeah, our there's so many key differentiators to this product, and I think you opened up the segment in saying that you saw what was on the can, what was on the seltzer, and that's really like a very cool starting point. I had someone DM me on Saturday, a customer who DM'd me, and he said, I was walking in Whole Foods and I saw us on the can, and I just had to, and I had never seen that before in seltzer, and I just
mhm,
had to get it. And
mhm.
honestly, that's why I made this product, we had this hard seltzer category really sort of explode a few years ago, sort of during the COVID era. And all of a sudden it was this hip, trendy, cool thing, but it was very focused toward a particular,
Yeah,
mainstream consumer,
demographic. Mm-hmm.
right? And I was so confused by that, because in our culture, we've been imbibing with very fruit focused, flavored malt beverages, or
Right.
different iterations of these types of beverages for decades.
Mm-hmm.
And it certainly wasn't like this cool, hip, trendy millennial type thing when we were doing it. So I really saw an opportunity, like what are these current brands doing, and why isn't it connecting with me and my family and my friends, right? And how
Mm-hmm.
can I craft something that I can see myself in? And so it was really, really important for me to illustrate, this like hero branding scene where it's reminiscent of my, my sort of Louisiana Creole sort of vibes, and we've got black bodies, and we've got this very celebratory, sort of just enjoyment of being together and being ourselves in full color, I call it. And so that's kind of like a key thing, right? The people are very attracted to, what is this? What is the brand? Why are these people on the can? This looks so fun. They're having a good time. And grown folks, even that term
Mm-hmm.
I grew up
It's
with,
grown folks' business.
it's stay out of grown folks' business. This is a grown folks table. We sat at the
Oh,
kids' table,
right.
right? And like without getting too deep, for my family in Louisiana, drinking alcohol, even like that was something that only grown folks did. And they could barely do
Mm-hmm.
that sometimes. For my
Mm-hmm.
grandparents and great grandparents generation, like black people could only drink alcohol in the privacy of their own home, or in safe settings where they felt comfortable. Because if,
Mm-hmm.
bad things could happen in the segregated South. And that was what happened to my grandparents and my great grandparents. So the term grown folks is very powerful, and that we have the ability now to craft products, where we can see ourselves in them, in those products, and then representing these flavor profiles that are familiar and prioritizing preferences, taste profiles that we enjoy, that just haven't been illustrated with other brands in the past.
I had, thank you for that. I had a question because when I was doing a little bit of research, I found out that you were in the hospitality beverage.
Yes.
So that was your mainstay as far as your industry, how you started. Do you remember what your first job was? When you
Yes. So
okay.
in California, we have this rib restaurant chain called Tony Roma's. Love it.
Mhm.
And when I was 15, I got a job as a hostess at Tony Roma's, and boy, was that not a fun job. However, that was the beginning of a 25 plus year, career in hospitality, in food and beverage, many jobs, waitressing, bartending, bottle service, working for large brands on the sales side,
Mhm.
beverage brands, cannabis brands. I eventually, you know, became a sales executive in CPG, but that sort of love for CPG beverage products, hospitality, food and beverage started in those teenage years where I'm hostessing, waiting tables, and eventually bartending.
What do you think was your most valuable lesson that you learned from your first job to how where you are right now?
Yeah, so don't piss off the chefs is one thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's really the education part of it. Working in hospitality and the restaurant industry, those chefs and the mixologists and sort of the head bartenders really instilled our ability to understand the different alcohol categories,
Okay.
wine regions, and these are things that I was never exposed to, right? Like
Yeah.
my parents, my great grandparents knew nothing about wine or fine dining or anything hospitality related, right? Like we we had very, very simple upbringing. So I think that education part of it, that I learned in those early teenage years, working in those first restaurants, was really essential to just kind of setting up the rest of my career. And I got to share that knowledge with my family, my mom. My mom and I have taken a trip to the wine regions in France and Italy.
Mhm.
That's something my mom never would have even thought to do in her lifetime, right? If she didn't have a child
Yeah.
that kind of learned these things growing up in the hospitality, food and beverage industry. So that's
Mm. Awesome. So, okay, you may have alluded, but I'm gonna go ahead and ask anyway. Um, in your ancestral makeup,
yeah.
were you able to see if there was anyone that was making any type of spirits or any type of fermentables, something um, that kind of you were able to kind of connect with what you're doing right now?
So, I mean, we have a lot of oral history, obviously, in our family. There's not a lot of written history, but the
Sure.
stories, right? But the stories that my late grandma and my great grandparents told us starts in Louisiana. They're farming sugarcane, and ultimately they created their own malt beverages, and
Okay.
they would essentially, like, fruitcake was a thing that they would, when the fruitcake was finished, they would dip the top of it in the malt that they created.
Hmm.
And that was kind of like a fun thing that the kids were able to eat when they were little, and they thought that that was like their first introduction to alcohol. But that's right, kind of
What
crazy.
what part of Louisiana?
So my family, I have two sides of my family that are from Louisiana. Some are from LeCompte, and then some are from New Orleans.
Okay, I don't know where LeCompte is. My mother's from Lake Charles. That's why I was like trying to see where where we at.
Yeah, LeCompte is a little bit more northwest,
Okay.
to New Orleans. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
we've got
Okay.
family in both regions, and then eventually they made their way out west to Los
Mhm.
Angeles here. Um, and yeah, it was, it the women in my family were, again, the oral history is very, very strong, and so the stories of their upbringing and what they grew up with in the South, and all the things that they went through, very much
Mhm.
instilled that work ethic, and why I do what I do.
That's awesome. That's a wonderful thing to even. I know having it written is important, but still having that oral history and being able to tell those stories to the cousins or the children if you have kids, you know, that's so enriching as well. So, and then you're like you're still carrying on that lineage because you're part of that oral history of you're still doing fermenting, you're doing a fermented beverage.
Yes.
Um, and I think because we are not normally seen in seltzer, that makes it even more rich and wonderful.
Yeah.
I commend you with that. Um, and apparently, Forbes also commends you because you were in Forbes. How was that?
That was very exciting. I'm very, very grateful. I mean, I think, obviously we just came off of Black History Month, and we have Women's History Month. So it created a really beautiful opportunity to be able to tell my story, and to be, kind of have the brand in the spotlight in that sense.
Mhm.
But I think it's just like those types of media and press opportunities are reflective of the world has changed, right? The U.S. is more diverse than ever, and consumers want to see themselves in the products that they engage in, and they're seeking out more than just the product. They want to align to brands that mean something, that have values similar to them. So to be able to tell our story and have people that you know really resonate with people, I think is reflective of yeah, the current state of where we're at in the world today.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I was wondering also with, you were in Forbes, and then I also see that you have gained more traction at Whole Foods. So you're in California. For those who are watching live or will listen to this later, Danica is exploring. It's California, but um, I know it's not at all, not yet. But
Not
so
yet.
where can we get so
Yeah.
far? Can we get grown folks?
Absolutely. So we are in the state of California. We just launched our partnership with Whole Foods regionally here, and we're adding more stores each week, which is really exciting. Over the next, 2 months, we're going to be onboarding other very exciting regional chains, which I'll be announcing very, very soon, which is
Good.
really exciting. And then we've also, got on-premise establishments, wine bars, convenience stores, liquor stores throughout the state, right, that are carrying our product. If you go to our website on our Find Us page, that's probably the easiest way to kind of type in your zip code and see where
Okay.
you can locate grown folks near you. But we will be dropping our next retail partners announcement very, very soon. So we're excited for that. And yeah, the goal is to expand obviously into other states as we continue to gain traction. And we're growing quickly.
So tell me, how hands-on are you with the product? Are you on the floor? Have you done like I'm used to doing like tomorrow I'm going to be going to make beer. Um how often do you get to do it as far as like I'm assuming that it's like a contract brewing situation?
So yes, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. So the seltzer production is a very involved process, and I own every aspect of that process. This is a brand that I worked on for almost 3 years, to be honest, and that
Okay.
from ideation all the way to MVP, like our first initial canned product. And the process to do that, I owned the whole process from, figuring out what the flavors were, working with a formulation house to really dial in the profiles, picking the right raw materials, the right ingredients, tasting flavors, tasting juices, extracts, right? There were so many iterations of that. And
Mhm.
then yes, eventually that moves into a co-packer, contract production facility, which I participate in as well. And again, I own that process, ordering all the materials, having all of them sent to the production facility, go to the production facility the week of the run, and ensure, a seamless process from like those materials going into the tank, fermentation, and then going to canning. We pack, we variety pack, and then we're on a truck and we're to our distributor. So it is quite a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. I can imagine because I mean I'm just doing a day in a life of doing, making some beer, but it always is intriguing to me because I see that we have well, I talk to people who are doing contract brewing, and they're just like, I just sent them the recipe and they handled it, and I I always wondered, how people really feel about that compared to, it seems like you're more hands on, which I think that I would be too, because I put all this money into it. Not that they haven't,
Right.
but I'm nosy. I want to see what's going on.
100%. I am the exact same way. And trust, there have been a lot of, for lack of, forgive my language, a lot of fuck ups along the
Yes.
way,
Yeah.
right? And so if you're not there overseeing that, that heavily impacts your finished goods, right? Like,
Yeah, because it's gonna be you.
it's
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 not.
me, it's my money, it's my POs with my retailers. So sure, I think once you reach a certain scale, and you've got this proven track record of making this product on multiple occasions, right? And you've kind of worked through the kinks.
Mhm.
Perhaps there's a little bit more of a seamless process, but as a startup and in the beginning, there's always things to navigate. As you know, right?
Yeah.
The fermentation process for sugar brew is a little bit quicker than, say, a lager, right? So you have to make sure you have to see that process through, taste, right? Taste the base. Is that on point? You've got to test the base, and then you've got to add all of your flavors, your juices, and everything else. And then you've got to mix and taste again and blend. And then you've got to carbonate. And then, I mean, you have to do quality check the entire process
Hmm.
until
Hmm.
you reach that point that you've done it so many times. And then by that point, hopefully I'm in 50 states and
Yeah.
and right, I have
Yeah.
other
Okay.
people helping me along the way.
I was feeling like I was being too extra when I thought about it, but I was like, no, no, I need to know these things. Uh,
100%.
but yeah, and I don't know if it's woman's intuition that we kind of feel like we need to be on top of things because we we wear as women we wear so many hats,
We do.
and we have to make sure that that balancing act is going the right way, because you can tell I heard that that messed up, and I need you to go ahead and fix it, or I'm be over there in about 10 minutes.
Yep.
So yeah, I get that, and I think that that's important to know where things lie. So where do you see yourself in about another, I would say 5 to 7 years? Where's Grown Folks going to be?
I mean, I would love to be a home for other brands, right? That are crafting products that are representative of their culture and background, and sort of have aligned initiatives. I would love to have an expanded product line, which is obviously in our roadmap, with more flavors, crossing other categories, and really just being a leader, for soul food inspired flavors, Louisiana Creole, heritage soul food inspired flavors across categories within food and beverage. So that's the goal. We've definitely planned that out, and I think we've got really great traction thus far, and we're gonna grow very quickly to accomplish that.
Are you wanting to have a brick and mortar, or maybe like a small tap room to just no? Okay.
Probably not in the plans for now.
Mhm.
Never say never if the right opportunity
Yeah.
came. But I think the business model for now is definitely sort of the three-tier system, and an expansion within retail, within on-prem, finding
Mhm.
a compliant, efficient D2C model, which is very difficult, obviously, on the beer side. But yeah, that's a lot to focus on right
Oh
now.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I just wondered. I just wondered.
Yeah, no, I would, again, having come from the restaurant industry for 25 years, I would love it. I think it's just, yeah, not in the plans right now. But talk to me in a couple years, and maybe I'll say different.
So one of my favorite flavors, even though I haven't had it yet, the key lime pie.
Yes.
What would be a good food pairing with the key lime? because it's supposed to be like a nice sweet but tart. What would be a good something to pair with that?
So I think what's really good to pair with sort of like a sweet focus like key lime pie is something that's salty. Um,
Mm,
I mean, you can really do anything, but salty brings out the sweetness and
mm,
sort of the complex flavor profiles really perfectly. So if you were in my household, it might be some sort of like, I don't know, breaded cat fried catfish. Like that
okay.
would be amazing, delicious. You could even do sort of like a stinky cheese. You could do sort of like tartar dishes. And then you could
Okay.
also do something completely simple like I'm doing right now, which is just like salty tortilla chips.
Yes. I
The,
love salty. The salty and the sweet is great.
the salty brings out the sweetness so perfect.
Mm. Ah, okay. Okay. And someone else agrees.
I'm so sorry.
What's your baby's name?
So that's Rupert, my Doberman. He's very, very protective. But if you wave a hot dog in front of his face, like he's very, very sweet. He looks scary, but he's a sweetheart. He's a lover.
It's always the big dogs that look aggressive. I was like, it's a puppy. It's just a baby. And I think I've always been the even as a child. My mother said there was a Doberman that was loose, and I was like, I'm gonna go test him. She's like, get away from that get away from that door.
No,
But I always had a big love for dogs, big dogs.
people will cross the street when I'm walking with him because
Mhm.
they're just so afraid of what he looks like physically, but he is the sweetest. I have two kids, so talking about women multitasking,
Yes.
I do all this and I have two kids under the age of 5. Um and like he is so sweet and gentle with my kids. Yeah, he's the
He's
best.
not talking to you. But because my girl dog is a flirt. She's like, oh, I hear a man.
Well, it's funny, and it's all the little dogs that really kind of try and try and
Yes.
challenge him, and he doesn't even really care.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's funny.
it is.
So I'm wondering, tell me more the about your heritage as far as your New Orleans heritage. Because did you grow up there in New Orleans and you moved, or you were already in California?
Yes, yes. I was
Okay.
already in California. It's kind of cool. My grandma was pregnant with my mom the same time my great grandmother, her mother, was pregnant with her youngest sister, which is, I know that's a lot to wrap your brain around. But around that time, um, my grandma came out to LA to kind of figure out, right, if this would be a good place for them. And then she eventually moved the whole family. She was the
Wow.
oldest of 11, and including her mom and dad, my great granny, my great grandpa, who I knew very well for many years before they passed, all to Los Angeles. And I mean, it's so funny because they were living in LA, but they were still so country in the best way
Hmm.
possible. So that's how we grew up with all, all of their sort of funny, I don't know, cultural country norms. And
Hmm.
they didn't put money in the bank because where they lived, like, you just didn't put money in the bank, right?
Right.
And um when you move to a new house, you put a slice of bread on the counter and that keeps the spirits away. And just, right, like, that Louisiana cultural heritage was really, really strong, and we would also go there.
Hmm.
And yeah, it has a very special place in our hearts. And so yeah, that's where that side comes from. My dad is actually Cape Verdean. which a lot of people don't really know what that is either.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's kind of another really cool cultural aspect um, for me.
Yeah, that's really rich.
Mhm.
That's a rich background to come from. It's always I don't know what it is about Louisiana, um, that it's like there's a mysteriousness to it. The food is always amazing, and then it's always a party. It's a
Always a good time. Yep.
yeah, it's always happiness.
Everyone is happy and everyone speaks.
Yeah.
Everyone says hi, how you doing? Come as you are, right? Like you can
Mhm.
drink anytime, you can walk on the street with no shoes if you want. Food's amazing. I mean, just yeah, beautiful rural countryside bayou city if you're, in New Orleans. It really is a special
Mhm.
special place.
Yeah. Do you think that you may well let me ask you this as far as your because you said you have two little ones. I know they're still young.
Yeah.
How are you planning on getting continuing uh that heritage or passing down that those verbal stories? Have you planned on doing something, maybe writing something down? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's a big reason why I did this brand too, is just thinking about my boys and like being able to leave a legacy and to show them, how we can be represented in these spaces. But in terms of like our family cultural history, we are surrounded by so many family members, so many cousins, so many family gatherings. Literally, I had
Mhm.
20 people at my house on Saturday for my son's third birthday. So, like that rich oral history and our customs and our foods and everything that we do together. My children are exposed to on a very frequent basis, uh,
Mhm.
which is really great. But I mean, I think you make a great point in terms of writing something down or making something a little bit more formal. I hope the brand does that. My 5-year-old, I mean, he says he works for grown folks. I did a post about it on Friday. He was homesick and he went to the warehouse with me. We were packaging orders and we were getting stuff done. So
Mhm.
they're very aware of what mommy does, and they're learning about why she does it, right?
Mhm.
And all the cool things about our Louisiana Creole family. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the essential part of why I did this. Like
Mhm.
creating that legacy for my boys, them being able to see themselves, right? Really being able to value, Black culture and being able to see yourself on a larger scale and really just having opportunity to see products that are speaking to you and people that look
Mhm.
at you.
Yes. It's so important, and I think, again, with this product, because it is I think well, we were supposed to be about less than 1% as far as, like, in the
Yep.
craft beer community, period.
Yep.
But then I can't even imagine if you break it down even more to seltzer. But
There was really nothing.
you and who else? Yeah.
No, like literally that was
Yeah.
that was part of why I created this. There were no brands on the market that were black owned, black and female owned, like doing something that appealed to what our needs were, right? So it's super
Mhm.
impactful to be able to like present that. And then in the grand scheme of things, like the same can be said for wine and spirits, right? It's still less than
Yes.
1%,
Yes.
and everything that MB2A is doing is phenomenal, and all the other organizations, right, that are really trying to elevate diverse voices.
Mhm.
It's interesting when I talk to retailers, what they tell me, their feedback is like, I have nothing like this product. I have
Mhm.
nothing like it. I have a shopper for it, right? So that's really cool, is like they see the value in our target consumer. Um,
Mhm.
and and so I think that's really important for anyone else who looks like us, who's thinking about, embarking on an entrepreneurial journey within beer or within beverage or alcohol or
Mhm.
really any CPG space. It's like our consumer has a lot of power. They've got a lot of buying power, and perhaps that hasn't been valued, right? In the past. And I think we have a real opportunity to really deliver on that.
Yeah. I can definitely see because, like, for instance, like my mother, who I think I took a picture when I finally got her around to drinking a beer. And that's just really not her lane. And I'm not trying to push her into that lane, but I think that something like a seltzer would be more appealing to her, especially with the flavors. I think that you really caught on uh, that kind of light bulb
Yeah.
as far as like peach cobbler. That's something that's going to be. I know what peach cobbler tastes like. If this tastes like peach cobbler, you better watch out.
Right.
And it's like 6%.
Right.
So it's something that, I'll be able to have maybe one or two of and feel real nice.
Yep.
Um, it's almost springtime. This is wonderful to
Yeah.
have something like that. So and I think that if I can convince, well, not necessarily convince, but have options.
Right.
I have another option for you if you don't really want a craft beer, but then you don't want to have something as heavy as a cocktail, a spirit cocktail. Well, maybe I could offer you a seltzer.
Right.
And this happens to be something that, and I can tell you that story. I can go into saying this is a Black owned business. Even this is a BIWOC
Yeah. Exactly.
product that, and then you're just like, oh, really? And that just changes people's um, emotions because they feel like, just like that gentleman um, that went into the store, is like, I saw some Black people on the can. I've done that too.
Yep.
People do that a lot because it's like, you know what, I'm going to support you. I don't know who you are,
Right.
but I'm going to support you. I'm probably going to do some more research, but
Right.
sight unseen, I want to support you because I see that you are trying to show me on
Yes.
this shelf,
Yes.
and I appreciate that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you hit it. Like we want to see ourselves in the products that we engage with, that we consume. And so that was just so important, um for my brand. And like even thinking about other cultures, every sort of marginalized group, or really anyone, knows what it feels like to not, necessarily be represented, or being able to be yourself and being valued. Like there's very different sorts of
Mhm.
layers of that outside of just our culture. And I think that's what's so important about our brand, is like we're representing you. Be who you are, be valued. You are valued, and like do it out loud, and let's do it together. And so I think that's kind of the really important piece, and sort of the mainstream crossover appeal. It's like, yes, it's from my perspective, which is Black culture and Louisiana Creole, and the flavor profiles that I grew up with. But it's what we're saying is like, hey, you haven't been valued. You've been underserved. Be you. We hear you. And
Right.
that's why we're doing it.
Right. Well, Danica, I really appreciate everything. And thank you so much for coming and talking to me and sharing. And again, Grown Folk Seltzers is available to you. If you go to the website, put in your zip code if you're in the California area, which I'm going to make sure that I check in with my California person and see how close she is so she can run to Whole Foods and grab me some key
Awesome.
lime pie and some peach cobbler. for sure. And then I can maybe swindle her to getting me some brochure
I'm gonna,
as well.
I'm
But yeah, I
gonna
definitely want to do that.
okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna start slow. I'm gonna start
Okay.
slow. I'm
Okay.
gonna start
I
slow
love
and tell her if you be nice to me, I'll be nice to you. I'm sure there's something that we can trade on.
yes.
So that's what we usually do. But thank you so much for joining us, and it's been amazing talking to you and learning about your rich history and what grown folks is doing. And I think it's going to be doing way leaps and bounds because um, you have found a niche that has not been tapped into, and I can't wait to see how the exploration of you taking over California and other states, as you already said, put it in the atmosphere, 50 states.
Yes.
I am believing with you that it will be there too,
Thank you.
and that you'll have the manpower to do it. Because I know little man was helping you, but it's gonna take a village
It
and
will.
take all those cousins.
It
So
will.
hey,
It
y'all
will.
get it together.
And you know, I have every family member that I possibly can work work in every angle of this business for me because that's what we do.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh,
So
thank you
I'm
so much.
so we're gonna go out on this one commercial and then we're gonna head on out. So let me go ahead and do that.